Welcome everybody to this week's Friday Features. It's a professor Q&A. We're really excited. We have 5 professors for you here today. We have Pei, Alyssa, Gwen, Arna, and Stacy. They're representing all of our majors all across the board. So you'll be able to ask them questions about specific majors and just what it's like to study at Morris in general. Before we get started, I have a few announcements here. Please use chat if you have any technical difficulties. I know a lot of people are new to Zoom, so we have staff working in the background who can help you with any technical difficulties you might have. We also have staff in the background working on questions you might have. So some of the questions are going to be answered live, but we do only have a half hour here, so some of your questions might get answered in the background by one of our admissions staff members. So just be aware, we're going to do our best to get as many as we can answered live, but some might be answered in the background by an admissions staff member. The last thing I want to announce is that we will be taping this, or recording this. It'll be available on demand on the same webpage that you use to access this webinar. But once again, we really want your questions, so please use the Q&A feature for that. And then if you do have any technical difficulties, please use chat, and we have staff available here to help you out with that. My name is Andrew. I work with the Office of Admissions. We are just thrilled to have you all here today. So professors, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this panel and let students ask questions of you. If you could please introduce yourself and then say the major that you teach in, and then also the areas that you'd be able to answer questions about. So let's start with Alyssa.
Hi everybody, my name is Alyssa Perinelli. I am a professor in chemistry. I teach predominantly organic and biochem. And if you are a pre-health major, so pre-med, pre-vet, pre-PT, any of those, you have at least a 50% chance of having me sometime in the first 2 years. So yeah, hi, welcome. Happy to answer questions.
Awesome. Gwen?
Hi everybody. Boy, we wish you were here on campus so we could greet you in person and you could spend some time at our lovely campus. But we're still happy that you're here. I'm Gwen Rudney. I'm professor and chair of the Division of Education. In our division, we have 4 disciplines: education, elementary education, secondary education, and sports studies and athletics. We have 2 majors. Elementary education major and sport management major, and we have 18 licensure programs. So if you're looking to be a teacher, you'll be spending time with us, and I'm happy to answer questions on any of those.
All right, Pei.
Hi, welcome to our Zoom session today. My name is Pei Ng. I'm the chair of the Division of Science and Mathematics, and I'm also a professor of mathematics. I've been here at UM Morris for the past 26 years only, and so still happy to be here. And Division of Science and Math houses academic programs such as biology, chemistry, computer science, environmental science, interdisciplinary program. We also house geology, mathematics, physics, and statistics, and we also have a new minor that we are very excited about called data science. And we also house pre-health majors, academic programs like what Alyssa had said. And we also handle a lot of students who are interested in pre-engineering as well. So I'll be very happy to answer any of those questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Pei. Stacy?
Hi. My name is Stacy Arnson. I'm a professor of Spanish and also the chair of the Division of Humanities. Welcome to this strange experience that we're all going through together, this Zooming experience. This is all new for us, but we're glad that you could come and join us today. The Division of Humanities houses many different academic programs. The list is enormous, but we have communication, media, and rhetoric. We have philosophy, and also a new program that is in the process of getting developed called Legal Studies. We have English, art history, studio art, theater, music, dance, French, German, Spanish, We also offer courses in Latin, Anishinaabe, Dakota, Portuguese, Nahuatl, ASL. We are also participants with some other academic divisions in some interdivisional, interdisciplinary programs such as Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies, Latin American Area Studies, African and Black American Studies, and Medieval Studies. So I can talk to you about any of those.
Awesome, thank you. And last but not least, Arna.
Hi, everybody. My name's Arna Kildegard. It's a beautiful day in Morris, Minnesota. We wish you were here. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long winter. We're all feeling a little bit of cabin fever at this point. But the campus is beautiful, and I hope you get a chance to see it soon. So I'm a professor of economics and management, and I'm also the division chair in the social sciences. So the disciplines involved in social sciences include anthropology, sociology, political science, psychology, economics, management, history, and human services. So I can answer questions about any of those. Stacy mentioned a couple of the interdisciplinary programs, so they're shared between the divisions. They include environmental studies, gender, women's sexuality studies, Native American and Indigenous studies, Latin American area studies, African and Black American studies. So either one of us can talk about that menu of interdisciplinary courses. So welcome to this session. I look forward to answering any of your questions.
Awesome, thank you all for introducing yourselves. First question for the professors coming from our Q&A is, why did you choose Morris? So we have students on the webinar who are thinking about choosing Morris. Why did you as a professor choose Morris?
Well, let me jump in first. I'm the one who has been here the longest. Pei has been here a long time, but I beat all of you. I came here in 1985 and began teaching, and have decided to make this place my professional, my intellectual home. And I've lived in Morris ever since then. Why did I come? Probably back in 1985 because they offered me a job. Why did I stay? That's probably a more important question. I find this is a very supportive campus. It's very, very collegial. I love my colleagues. I love the students. We are a little bit off the beaten track, but that doesn't mean that you're limited here. We have students doing things all the time, going everywhere, and I really appreciate that about this community.
I love talking about why I came and stayed at Morris. I think that my initial response, or my initial reaction when I was here for my interview, and I've been here the second longest because this is my 29th year, but I felt like I would matter. I felt like my work would matter. That I didn't have to wait to take a turn to be at the table, and I think that's been the case. It's been true. So you matter here. If you were here and taking a tour on this lovely day, people would be greeting your tour guide by name over and over. And so we know each other, we care about each other, and I think that support that Stacy talked about is why we came and why we stayed. I'm very proud of this little school.
Mm-hmm. And my name is Pei, and the reason I came here is because I knew that the University of Minnesota Morris is committed to excellence in teaching as well as scholarship. So both of which are very important to me when I was looking for a job. And I wanted to be at a undergraduate liberal arts college where I will know my students from day one. And we're different from many big schools that I was at when I was in graduate schools. So, but I wanted to be at a place because I wanted to teach. And so by and large, all the professors at the University of Minnesota Morris are committed to excellence in teaching. We're here, okay? And also the second thing that drew me to Morris and make me stay is the fact that I know I'll be able to do research work with my undergraduate students. So doing undergraduate research was part of my initial goals when I was looking for a job. And so, And that's how I engage my students in my work, because most of us here are teacher scholars. So if you were to come here in Morris, I hope you'll seek out the faculty you would like to work with. And we always welcome you to our offices or our labs. So
I guess we're going kind of in order of seniority here. So I'm sort of a Johnny come lately. I've only been here since 2001. But before I was here, I was a lot of different places: University of Texas, University of Mississippi, Tulane University in New Orleans, and La Universidad de Guanajuato in central Mexico, which is also beautiful. I came here originally. My wife is from Minnesota. My parents were living in the Twin Cities, and I love this part of the world. And I wanted to have the balance of my career at a residential liberal arts college. I'm kind of infatuated with the mission of the place, and so it's been a good place for us here in Morris. That's our story.
Okay, so I've been here the least amount of time by a fair bit. I guess I chose to come here similar to how Stacy picked here because they offered me a job. And part of why I applied here in the first place was because I went somewhere like here when I was in college. And I really, really appreciated having the faculty know my name. I really liked not being a number. So I went to a really big graduate program later. And I taught students. I was a TA teaching students. So here it's only professors teaching you. It's not, graduate level students that are, maybe this is their first time teaching something ever. And I wanted to be able to know my students' names. And when I was teaching in grad school, I had 150 people in 3 different classes. So I was teaching 400 people at a time, and I wanted something very different from that. So I regularly have classes that are 8 people big or 30 people big, and I know all of my students' names generally by the 2nd or 3rd week. So that really helps me know that I can give my students the best experience possible because I can know when they're having problems because I see them all the time. They stop by my office and say hi, or they ask questions. So it really helps to be able to answer students' questions, and I really like watching them get to know stuff. So why I stayed here or somewhere like here is because I really get to know my students, and I really appreciate the relationships that I get to have with my students and have their emails when they're 2 years into grad school saying, hey, I really appreciated the class you taught, and that's why I stay. So.
Awesome. So bouncing off that idea of working so closely with students, I'd like to hear about, just highlight a student who's doing something amazing. It could be study abroad, it could be a research project, just a student, maybe community engagement in the community, but just a student in your major or discipline who's doing something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we go in order of seniority again, that's hard because we have so many. But I think if I had to pick one, there was a student from a couple of years ago. She was a Spanish major and I think a music major or minor, who went, after she graduated, she went on and got a Fulbright scholarship to Brazil. She loved the experience so much that Fulbright gave her an opportunity to stay a 2nd year, which is very unusual. And so I believe she's just completed her 2nd year in Fulbright, teaching English in northern Brazil. And we actually have a number of students that apply for, we're very, very successful at getting, helping students achieve Fulbright scholarships to go abroad and either do research in another country and be paid to do it and be given a stipend, or they go to teach English. So that's probably one of my favorites.
Well, I feel the same way that Stacy did. That there's just so many to talk about. But we also in elementary education have a student who is a Fulbright scholar and has selected, in addition to doing all the coursework at a high level, she also selected challenging field experiences. In our teacher education program we have, with every course, our students are also in the classroom learning from both areas. And so she did field placements at a tribal school in Chicago, in the metro area and local rural schools, all to a high degree. She's outperformed others on required state performance tests. So that's just one example, but there are dozens.
So since I'm in mathematics, I work with a lot of students in undergraduate research, I would like to highlight these couple of them just to let you know that even with a math degree, you can do a lot of things right off Morris. So I had an undergraduate research student who worked with me on my research work that have applications in telecommunications network problem, large scale optimization problem. So right off, after he finished the research work with me, he was recruited by a very large Minnesota company on healthcare data. And I actually wanted him to go to grad school, but they gave him a very lucrative offer. So he ended up at that company. Nothing wrong with that. And then the second undergraduate research student who worked with me on doing optimization work for the city of Morris one time. After getting a math degree, she decided that she wanted to go to law school. I have nothing against law school, but anyway, so she ended up being a patent law and doing very well. And then the third one actually went on to graduate school in mathematics. So that's awesome. And she became a professor, I guess, just like me. So, and then another one that I want to highlight is somebody who worked with me on doing a research project with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. And she's now a very good high school math teacher. And I think it's very important that we have really good students who are interested in trying to mentor our next generation of incoming college students, and that is our K-12 students. So for mathematics, you can do just about anything you want. So I think I try to answer the questions. Okay, thank you.
I'll just mention one case. I could choose from dozens, but she graduated last May, I believe. Melissa Brownlee. She's an anthropology and Native American Indigenous Studies major. Did her senior seminar on sort of the ethics of collecting artifacts from Native American communities. And she was hired by the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. So she's one of the youngest people ever employed there, and it's a very prestigious museum. So her career's off to a great start.
Okay, so the student I'm gonna mention is one who's actually still here. She's graduating in a couple weeks. It's what, 3 weeks from now, which is really exciting. She's going to graduate school at Cornell in the fall for chemistry, and she's actually a double major. She's a double major with chemistry and English. So one of the other really cool things about our students is that they excel in various areas. So this student is a very amazing student in chemistry, but she's also a wonderful student in English. And she's hosted people here in both disciplines for various like on stage question and answer sessions. And she's a student rep for chemistry right now, and she just does so many things, and I'm really excited to see what she does in the future. She's told me several times that, you know, if she hadn't taken my organic chemistry class, she would never have been a chemistry major. And that is like one of the things that really like sustains me as a teacher, is just hearing people give you that like really excited, oh my gosh, I like organic chemistry feedback, because honestly, organic chemistry is a little scary, but I'm always really happy to hear that people are like, oh, I like chemistry. And, you know, again, I'm really excited to see what she does.
Awesome. Those are amazing students. So I'm going to send something through the chat to all of our participants and panelists. But those are just some links to our virtual tour. A few people have mentioned, we want you on campus, we want you to see campus. This is the best thing in the meantime. There's a few other links in there, common questions we get in these professor panels. We have a question in the Q&A, and please keep that coming in the Q&A. We love your questions. We want to have your questions answered by these professors. But the student asked, so they're undecided, and they just want to know how you work with undecided students. So I don't know if one of you wants to answer this. We can do a hand raise. Anybody want to take this on? Undecided students?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot. So the minute you step on campus as a new student, you are assigned a professor as your academic advisor. And so since the University of Minnesota Morris is a highly ranked public liberal arts college, we do have courses that we encourage our first year students to take, regardless of what your major is. So if you're undecided, then we encourage, you will work with your faculty advisor, and you're encouraged to take courses that would at least satisfy your general education curriculum. So at the end of the first year or the second year, once you decide what your major is, at least those courses will help you decide or come to a conclusion what area of interest that might pique you towards the end of your first year. And it's okay coming to college during your first year not knowing what you want to major in. And you will always have a faculty advisor who will work along with you throughout the first year, helping you navigate among the courses and what interests you have developed throughout the first year. My colleagues can jump in.
I was just going to add to that undecided, this is a perfect place to be undecided, because it's a liberal arts college, and that's what we want you to do, is explore. And a lot of people who are decided are going to change their minds anyway. And so that's just part of the development and going to college, and we welcome all of it.
Awesome, thank you. So we had a question in the Q&A. How do you support students? What are some ways you support students? You mentioned the advisor relationship, but maybe in the classroom as well as in that advisor relationship, how do we support students?
Well, in all kinds of ways, I think, is the answer to that. I mean, it was mentioned that every student is assigned a faculty advisor. There are also success coaches who do some sort of behind the scenes mentoring and help students keep on track. In introductory courses, there are often peer tutoring hours available and then of course on the residential life side, there's all sorts of social support and community support. Life is not exclusively academic in college, and so there's all sorts of opportunities to get involved in community in ways that are socially helpful and worthwhile.
Yeah, does anybody else have other thoughts on that? Okay, wonderful. So we had a question specifically about the classroom experience. So how does the classroom experience at Morris differ from other colleges?
So I teach predominantly chemistry and biochem, like I said, and we have relatively small class sizes, especially for a lot of liberal arts schools where we're smaller than a lot of other places. And that's actually pretty good because, the place I went has 2,100 students. The smallest class I was in was 25 people. And so we have 8 people in the senior level elective I have, and classroom experience in some of the intro level courses is 50. Now at a large university, you'd probably have 400. And so that, again, like I said earlier, that means we know all of your names, and we know if you're having trouble. You generally, as a student, I think students tend to feel more comfortable coming to us as faculty than they do at larger institutions. And the classroom experience is relatively small rooms. We don't have large lecture halls at this university, so you don't really get lost in a sea of empty seats. So that's also something that's kind of, when I was looking at colleges, I was like, oh, it's really intimidating being in these really big rooms where nobody's going to know my name. So we have the opposite of that, where a lot of people know your name, and, you know, we have lecture classes, we have discussion classes. Yeah.
I think that there are award-winning professors here, so I think the instruction is good here. The classes are small, as Alyssa said. And another important part, I think, of what our classes are like are the students themselves. We have the students at Morris are very engaged, and they're very focused on learning, and they're a lot of fun. And so I think those characteristics also come through in our classrooms.
Mhm.
Awesome. We had a question in the Q&A about short-term study abroad programs. Arna, I know you had a trip planned to Cuba. Can you talk about that? Might be too
Oh
soon.
yeah, I'd talk for the rest of the hour about that if you want me to. So that was a trip sort of exploring the economic structure and cultural life in Cuba. That a Spanish professor and I led over winter break between semesters. So we were down there almost 3 weeks together, and it was wonderful. Let's see, what are some other trips, specifically short-term trips? Is that what we're interested in? Yeah, so what has study abroad done recently? So very frequently the choir or symphonic winds, one of the musical ensembles will spend a May term or 3 weeks immediately after the spring semester ends traveling internationally. One year they went to Estonia and Latvia and Finland, and I don't know where all else they've been. It was a trip. The choir was planning to go to Peru over spring break, but that was, of course, a casualty of COVID-19. Other short-term trips. I know there have been trips to Belize to look into sort of the biology of reefs and that sort of thing. I don't know. Somebody can jump in. I don't have the full catalog in mind.
Oops. I was going to say one thing with study abroad is it's not just a non-science thing. So one nice thing about Morris is there's a lot of also science-y study abroads, because a lot of science majors and some of the other majors are really worried about, I want to get my sequence in for all my classes. So there's a 3-week study abroad in Thailand through chemistry. Geology has one in the winter term, I think, in Italy. Pei, I think you can definitely speak better than I can for that one, but it's not just a non-science major thing. Like if you're a science major, you don't have to worry about fitting in all your classes, and you can still go study abroad.
I want to jump in too. We have a lot of programs. We have a lot of short-term programs in all different academic disciplines that are taught at different times. But because we're part of the University of Minnesota, part of the system, we can take advantage of all of the programs that the Learning Abroad Center offers. So our students really have a wealth of study abroad opportunities. You can go for a few weeks, you can go for a year. It really depends on your program, and it really depends on what your goals are. We also have some, through our university, we also have some direct exchange programs with universities in France, Mexico, and Germany, which for a number of students have been a more cost-effective option for going abroad. You pay what you pay here and you get to go there, and vice versa. So there you go.
I just also want to make a pitch that we have a global student teaching program. So some people do their final student teaching in New Zealand this year, also in Spain, Australia, Ghana. So that's also an option.
Awesome. Thank you all for that information. We're right up on time, but I want to ask one more kind of final question. Just if you have any advice, just a quick piece of advice. These are high school students who are considering Morris, but have a lot of options. And just if you have any advice for them in their college search. Maybe one person, if anybody has something that comes to mind.
Breathe. It's okay. It'll be fine. It is unfortunate that you can't come here because I think you would love the campus. It's beautiful. It's very engaged. Our students are really engaged. The faculty are engaged, and we want you to be successful. And we do everything we can to help you achieve whatever your academic dreams are, and to be successful in that way. But picking your school, it's a gut feeling. And if you can make a choice and be at peace with it, that's the right decision.
Right. And I always say we want for you what you want for you, but we sure would love to have you here.
Awesome. That is a wonderful note to end on. Huge thank you to all of our professors. Thank you so much for being on this panel. Huge thank you to everybody who joined us via Zoom. We have some awesome future Friday features coming up. They're listed on the same page that you entered this Zoom on. Want to encourage you all to take a virtual tour. I sent that through the chat. It's as good as we can do for right now. We really want you to come to campus and really hope that you will come to campus when you're able to, but that virtual tour is a good opportunity. We can also set you up at the one-on-one meeting with an admissions counselor. So that's a good way to connect with Morris as well for the time being. We'd love to connect with you and be a resource in any way we can. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your Friday.